eyes of a corpse, the screams of a loved one. All bodies leave their mark. You cannot be near the newly dead without feeling it. I'd always had nightmares, but now the ghost didn't wait for me to sleep.
Hey, have you ever tried to the sidewalk and beat to your test blood? How did you burn? How did you burn? How did you burn? How did you burn? I don't know!
Why did you kill me?
I didn't mean to.
You should have helped me.
I tried to help. I wanted to. Rose?
Daddy, I love you.
Rose? Rose?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Long time no see. I know, it's only been 23 hours. But good evening. Good evening. Welcome for tonight's photography stream. The editing the pictures that I developed on last Thursday's art stream. So we've got some lovely black and white cemetery pictures coming to you this evening, and I may also be editing some of the images that I shot on my digital camera from my time in Baltimore. So that is on tap for this evening. So welcome. If you're unfamiliar with what I do, I'm Brian J. French. I'm a professional photographer. And if you are curious about some of the work I do, you can go that link that's right now in the chat, but you can always type in !art, and it'll take you to my card page, which has all of my links: Instagram, Vero, Patreon, Redbubble, my website, all the links, everything you need to know, or everything you ever want to know about my photography. So thank you so much for joining me on this very unseasonably warm and humid October evening. I object to how warm it is. It was like 70 degrees earlier. So no. We can't have this as we're about to head into November. No. Nuh-uh. Get the hell back, summer. You've had your fun. But yes, we're going to be starting off with this image here. While I was in Baltimore, I visited 3 cemeteries, but was only able to access 2 of them. So interesting story about Baltimore, it being a major city and all. I'm so used to the Northeast and the New England mindset, where a lot of these places, particularly Boston, they went to great lengths to build around their cemeteries. So you can walk all through the city of Boston and find a bunch of old burying grounds which contain a lot of America's founding fathers, and a lot of historical names, a lot of very famously historic names in those burying grounds, and also just lots of Puritans and early Revolutionary War dead. So, like, Boston went to great pains to build around many of their burial cemeteries. And what I discovered when I was in Baltimore is that in the city itself, there's not really a whole lot of historical cemeteries. A lot of the burying grounds that used to exist in the city of Baltimore have been razed over, bulldozed over, and built on. Some of that having to do with just the expansion of the city as it grew, and for other reasons, systemic racism. I mean, Baltimore is very heavily populated by African Americans and other people of color, and so there were a lot of historically black cemeteries in the city that also, unfortunately, fell into disrepair, neglect, and were again built over, bulldozed over, to make way for buildings that are there now. The first cemetery that I tried to go to is one of the oldest in downtown Baltimore. It's called the Old St. Paul's Cemetery, and it's according to the research I found, about half of it is gone, just again built over, but half of it is still extant. And the half that is still extant contains the graves of a couple of well-known historical figures: Samuel Chase, who was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and it was the original burying place of Francis Scott Key, who wrote our national anthem. If Francis Scott Key is no longer in that cemetery, he's been moved, I don't know where, but But that cemetery is just an example, as you know, things built on top of it. The extant part of the cemetery is part of the University of Maryland campus. So getting there, trying to get in, was unfortunately a fail. It was gated and locked, so I couldn't visit that one. But the one cemetery in the city proper that I was able to visit was the Westminster Burying Ground and Church. No longer a church, hasn't been a church now for a few decades. It's the cemetery where Edgar Allan Poe is buried. And as the story goes, that burying ground also has a lot of famous, locally famous figures in it. And the church was actually built on top of the burying ground solely to prevent the city from bulldozing or razing it and building on top of it. So a church was built over top this burying ground to protect the burial ground. So I thought that was a very, very, very cool story. And the second cemetery I went to in Baltimore was a site called Loudon Park, which is massive. It is huge. It was established in the early to mid 1800s, and it's almost 500 acres. This place is gigantic. And it is still very, very much in use today. And I had a good time, going through the older sections of Loudon Park. It is massive, and this is where our first image tonight is going to be. This is from Loudon Park. So, welcome. So we have a bit of a name change. Cyoblaze SNES. Thank you for the resub. So we start tonight with the couple of images from Loudon Park. So this was a pretty one that I really, really enjoyed. So I took that one. That was, you just see, hanging off the cross there, and then a little bit of a close-up shot there. So we're going to start with that tonight. Oh, I need to change the image to a color image so that I have the full range of editing options. 10 stream, you can get it working. Well, best of luck to you. Let me know when you do start streaming. I'll be sure to catch you. Curves are pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Let's make the contrast jump out a bit. Now let's take a look. Okay. No selective color, no. It's already black and white. Don't need to do anything there. And I think we could do with a little dodge and burn, particularly burn. Background copy. Darken that cross a little bit there. Just to make the contrast a little more noticeable. It's been a busy week and it's only Tuesday. I think I got lucky on this one as far as dust and scratches are concerned because it's always it's always very tricky when you're scanning negatives. Try to avoid dust or scratches. But I think I got pretty lucky on this one. I'm on highlights, back to shadows. Will this finished be available anywhere? Oh, yes, I will eventually put it on social media. It may wind up on my Redbubble store at some point. And will also probably wind up on my website at some point. I really need to take a weekend and just do a website update. But this will probably be on social media first. Actually, what'll happen first is usually what I do with the images that I do on stream, I share them to my Patreon first. I give my patrons a 1 week early access to view the finished images, and then I start putting them on social media. So yes, if you'd like early access to my posts and posts that I don't share anywhere else, throw some money at me on my Patreon. You're a web designer. If you need any, appreciate the offer, Sayub. But I've got that pretty well in hand. But if I want to make drastic changes to it, I will keep you in mind. So thank you. Packaging with tech. You know, just that little hint of sun right on the edge of the sleeve there. I like that. It all plays a... Yeah, the thing this with my website, it's just I haven't done an update to it in about a year. It's kind of due because I've made I've done a lot of stuff since then. All right, I like that. Okay, cool. So we have that, which is the fuller version of that, but I might come back to that. Let's move to you. So this is inside the Westminster Church and Burial Ground. So you have the church over here. We've got some tombs over here. Just off to the right here, just out of camera, is the current burial site of Edgar Allan Poe and his relations. So that's over here. Okay, we look pretty good on our curves. Very good. Play around with brightness and contrast. Oh, that makes that look significantly better. All these images, by the way, were shot on film, on black and white film. I actually have the negatives right here. I shot 2 rolls. They're right here. If you saw me last Thursday, those were the rolls that I developed. So these were all shot on Ilford Delta 400 medium format film. And from where I was standing on a small staircase, as you can tell by the banister there, just looking out down the brick path and into the burial ground, which goes quite a ways further back, further off in this direction over here. I just did, bot. Now you're reminding me again. You just see that one headstone resting up against the back of a tomb there. So you have this church and this you know, early to mid 19th century burial ground, and then over here you have one of the buildings of the University of Maryland. I think it's a medical building, if my memory serves. Just lighten up some of the ivy here. Like, it's in shadow, but I want to lighten it up just a little bit. Same thing with this obelisk here. Lighten it up just a little bit so that it's not just a solid mass of black. Oh shit! Thank you so much for the... thank you for joining my Patreon. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Oh, at the $10 a month level, that means you're going to be getting a 5x7 print every single month for as long as you remain at that level. Awesome! Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. So you'll get, starting November, you'll get November's print. Because I've already mailed out all the ones for this month. So on November 1st, you'll get a notification, because I choose it's a random print. It's a random print every single month. So it could be a cemetery image. It could be a nature image. It could be an architectural image. It could be a nude. It's I've been there. It's like I put take a look at some pictures and I'll put them all in a, spin a wheel, and that's the one that gets chosen. So this month's was a This month's was a cemetery image. It was a cemetery image that I shot when I was in New Hampshire a couple years ago. Good evening, Alive Deaths. I see the hydrate. Chin chin. So I called it Spider Skull. Can't ever go wrong with newts. Well, I mean, you're paying for the privilege, so, you know. If you go back and check my posts and you're familiar with what I do, you'll know that nudes are a possibility. Awesome. Thank you so much. Nice. All right. I like that. I like that quite a bit. All right, so we'll close you. What are you? That I'll get to. Ah, okay. Let's do this one next. So this is on the corner of one of the crypts that's in this Westminster burying ground. Actually, I've been talking up so much about Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. Might as well just show you him. So, he was actually buried twice. And I will show you. So this is his original headstone, or this is where he would, the marker that shows where he was originally buried. And this is actually toward, the back of the cemetery. So his mother-in-law is on his right, and Virginia Poe is on his. Virginia Poe was his wife. Was on to his left. But this is the original. This is the marker signifying where he was originally buried. Then he was dug up, and he was reburied right at the entrance to this burying ground, which is right at street level. And people still leave him offerings. You know, flowers, notes. This is a close-up one. Somebody left him some chocolate. There's a gourd, some roses. Someone left him a love note. But yes, he was originally buried further back, and then, you know, because he is famous, the city decided, why leave him all the way in the back? Let's bring him to street level. So this is the first thing you actually. So this is when you walk in. When you walk into the burial ground, that's what you get. That's Edgar Allan Poe, his wife, and his mother-in-law are under this spot. And I figure if you like Edgar Allan Poe and you're in Baltimore, it's like I have to. So this particular image contains a little bit of a wrinkle in the film, and that's indicated. So if you remember, if you saw me developing the film last Thursday, I said it was the second roll that gave me trouble when I was loading it onto the spool to put it in the developing tank. And so what happened was some of the images, while being wound, got a little scrunched. And so this is just a little. These indicate little creases on the film itself. So that way we'll have to fix those as we edit. And this is kind of what I love developing film, but I much rather make my edits in Photoshop, scan the negatives and edit them in Photoshop. Because damn. Trying to do that by hand with a print, just ugh. Curves look pretty good. We've got a nice, instead of a nice curve, we've got a nice sharp pyramid, mountain here. Okay, good. So I think first things first, let's work on fixing the creases. I think we're going to do that. We're going to start with my friend, the clone tool. Those of you just joining in, thank you so much for spending some of your Tuesday evening with me. Getting used to that again, switching my art stream nights from Thursday to back to Tuesday. So I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Right, that takes care of most of that. Okay. Alright, so that takes care of that and that. Now let's go to this one. Nice. Awesome. Now let's take care of the rest of that. All right. So this was again from a couple of weeks ago when I visited the city of Baltimore. Not last week. Last week I was at a wedding on Long Island. Gorgeous wedding. Absolutely had a blast. And I have another wedding this Friday. All right. This little bit of graffiti I saw in a couple of places near the cemetery. Near the Edgar Allan Poe Cemetery. Which ones do I want to work on? I think I would like to do this one next. So Poe is a little bit behind me and off to this direction. And it was a little bit of a gray day. Like, it had started off somewhat sunny and then just got more overcast as the day went on. if you did miss my photo developing stream, it is a VOD. It's available, I think, for the next 10 days or something like that, and it is currently up on my YouTube channel right now, in which it will remain until that YouTube channel no longer exists. As is the case with all of my archive streams. I like to give my cemetery images a bit of a vignette look, if you haven't already noticed. A lot of these came out pretty decently. I don't need to do a whole lot of editing on them, which is great. Really like the medium format. Like I barely notice even any dust and scratches too, which is again harder to notice when you're shooting outdoors on a negative. You're shooting with film, as opposed to in the studio, where every single piece of dust is just like nope, right there. It's all against the backdrop. Bribe me to retouch my profile picture. Well, I did reply to you. You did send me an email how much I'd charge for that. I did reply to you. So if that charge is something you're comfortable with, I will retouch that. And because there's so many leaves on the ground anyway, trying to find what's dust and what's a scratch is a little trickier anyway. Oh, I am sorry to hear. Hopefully you are better now. Yep, when you initially emailed me and sent me a picture of yourself to see if I could work with that. Yep, you asked me what I charge for that, and I did let you know. But hopefully you're feeling better now. No, done here. So this is actually toward the back. Better now, I was in the hospital to use it. Oof, I am so sorry. I am so sorry to hear that. Hospitals are no fun. I have Crohn's disease, and for a good chunk of the last, in my 20s, I spent so much time in hospitals, various surgeries. So yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. So this is more toward the back of the Westminster burying ground. So behind me, there's a couple more crypts that have sunk into the ground. There's actually, when they built this cemetery, built the church, there's portions of it which are elevated, which basically go over some of the crypts and graves that have sunk into the ground a bit. So what we're looking at the back of a couple of tombs here. Actually, this is the back of the one with the weathered face that I just edited. It's another vault here, another one there. So let me pull up a few more here to play with. Boop. Let's go you. Let's open you. Let's open you. Let's open you. All right, so back to Loudon Park, where I initially started. So this is more toward the back of the Loudon Park Cemetery, that massive, massive one that I told you about. So this mausoleum, it was constructed in 1873, and this is just an image that I took for scale. So we have my spouse there, standing next, just to give you a sense of how big this is. That is how, like, they only come up to, like, 2/3 of the door. So, this mausoleum is you know, you see that it used to have stained glass in it, in which a good chunk of it has been broken off. Padlocks on the door, so I can only imagine that there were some escapees. Also, just for historical shits and giggles, this cemetery also contains the crypt of the person who invented cast iron. And that marker is on the National Register of Historic Places. This guy. I actually think that, if I remember correctly, that this is actually made out of cast iron as well. And again, padlock on the door. I think he tried to escape. All right. Again, back to Loudon Park. Okay. This one actually doesn't need a whole lot of work. Actually, I think I'll skip that one for now. Ah! Excuse me. That one's a bit more me of my cemetery images. Number 14S. Who is there? No idea. Okay. This is one of those kneel on the ground type images. Actually, I think, yeah, let's crop that. Debating, do I... No, I think I'll keep it uncropped. I think if I crop it like that, then the image just, the balance just falls right to the bottom. No, I'll keep it like that. If he's a little darker. Not too much. Just make the background a little darker as well. Just so we have some variation in the ground there. There we go. Alright. What are we at? We're a little more than halfway through tonight's proceedings. And I think I want to change things up a little. Move off the cemeteries for a little bit. Because I do have... I'm going to check my my digital images and see what I've got to work on as well. So... let's see. Well, you're Baltimore Ren Fair. Can I use it? Can I do any of those? I don't think I can. That's Ren Fair. Can't use those. Ah. Those could be possibilities. I'll show you in a minute. Those are... that's aquarium stuff. Yeah, those I think I can work on. I just have to convert them first. Welcome to my editing process. NDC. Yeah, I've got a couple there I can play with. So, let's do this. It is going to take a couple minutes to convert some of these images, so I'm going to take a... I'm going to first hydrate, and then I'm going to take a quick break while Photoshop does conversion stuff. And I will be back in just a couple of minutes. Alrighty, right. Back to the fun. I'm gonna switch a little bit from death to some other vacation photos. So on my last full day of vacation, my spouse and I went to Washington, D.C., actually. And we went to the National Gallery of Art. And just a lot of gorgeous stuff in there. And I didn't take too many images while I was in there because the lighting is terrible. Lighting is terrible for photography, but I did get a couple of this gorgeous fountain inside the National Gallery of Art, which is just called Mercury. And it is a fountain, and it is in the rotunda of the National Gallery. So this is just the extreme close-up of the Mercury figurine itself, but if I zoom out a bit, that's what it looks like, you know, in the room. And that's getting closer to it. And then I wanted a nice close-up of Mercury, so that's what I got. So this one I'm gonna tweak because I do enjoy this one. This one is not going to go on Patreon or anything like that because, you know, this is... I can't do anything commercially with this as per the rules of National Gallery, so... Profiting off of somebody else's art just ain't cricket. I just like this picture, so I'm going to tweak it, and I like the fact that you can see some of the cobwebs that have made themselves home to some of the bronze here, or some of the metal. That's just me playing with the hue layer. Not a whole lot of white in the image to begin with. There was a lot of great stuff in the National Gallery. If you are ever in Baltimore, if you're ever in DC, I strongly recommend you check it out. So, I being having an art degree, having an art history minor, I really wanted to check this place out because I've seen a lot of works from the National Gallery in my textbooks. And let me tell you, it is one thing to see a reproduction, an image of a famous painting, sculpture, what have you, in a textbook. It's quite another to actually see it in person, up close, where you can see all the brushstrokes or all the molding that went into that sculpture. It's really, really awesome. No, I don't think I like that. Like that. Another place that I went to, that I took some pictures, was the National Aquarium. This is back in Baltimore. And I discovered that the jellyfish, in particular, were really, really photogenic. I'm just going to turn them to straight black and white. Oh, wow. That is cool. Now that's what happens when we just default black and white, but if we turn up to maximum black, or even maximum or high contrast red filter, that's what we get. Blue does that. It removes all the blue out of the image. Or removes everything but blue, I should say. Oh, that looks awesome. I like that. Nice. Cool. Oh, I've already finished that. All right. That's what I wanted, a tiny little break from cemeteries. Now we'll go back. We'll go back to death now. Do. Where'd you go? There you went. Yes. Just lying against the wall of the church. In memory of George Pollock, who died September 17, I think it's 1796, got a leaf covering that, age 38 years. So even though this was officially established in the mid-18th century, you do have some older ones in there as well. Also, something else to note, because this is the Mid-Atlantic as opposed to the Northeast and to New England, not going to find anything in the way of Puritan symbolism here. Just not. Because you didn't get the Puritans going that far south. When I was actually on Long Island this weekend, I was made aware that right near where the happy couple got married, there is an old Puritan, well, it's an old Revolutionary War era cemetery very nearby, which could have some of the graves of people who were part of George Washington's spy network during the Revolutionary War. And I didn't have my camera with me, because I was going to a wedding, and so I'm like, I don't want to bring my camera with me because we've got professionals there already. Let them do the work. But next time, I have to make a return trip to see that death. Pardon me. Unseasonably warm. All right. Let's see. I don't think this needs a whole much else, to be brutally honest. I like the sort of the filtering rays of sun that were coming through the trees here to highlight this. So I think that's... I actually think I like that. I don't think I need to do much more with that at all. So... a roll of medium format film, just to give you a perspective, it's not like a roll of 35 millimeter where you can get 24 or 36 exposures. Whenever I shoot 35 millimeter, I usually get the 36 exposure rolls. So on a roll of medium format, I can only get 16. And it depends on what sort of, for medium format cameras, it depends on what film backing you have. So that's 16. If you could get a film back in which all your images are perfectly square, kind of like Instagram, and if that was the case, I'd get 12. The first medium format camera I ever used, which is my introduction to medium format, it's called a Holga, cheap plasticky piece of shit camera, $25, and was notorious for allowing light leaks. It wasn't light tight, so if you wanted to have sort of light tight, no light leaks on your film, you'd have to put like duct tape or electrical tape on the back of the camera, and but having light leaks on the film was part of the aesthetic. Part of the aesthetic of the toy cameras. But the Holga came with two film back sort of settings that you could put in the camera when you were loading the film, so that you could get 12 images out of a roll of medium format, or the rectangular size that you see here, in which you'd get 16. And then there are rolls of medium format, which is so the 35 millimeter film is also called 135 format. Medium format is also called 120 film. And so there's another version of medium format, which is called 220. Those are less common, but what 220 is just a regular roll of medium format that's doubled in length. So you can get double your images, 24 or 32 in that case. I don't know if 220 is actually even made anymore, but 120 absolutely is. I shoot exclusively Ilford film. All right. Next up on The Price is Right. What's another one I can work on? Let's go back to this one because I really, really, really like. I really like this one. Just the idea of people leaving tribute to one of our dear writers. Did I save that? Yes, I did. You're just joining me this evening. Thank you so much for spending some of your Tuesday evening with me. I always appreciate the pleasure of your company. If you're curious, my name is Brian J. French, and I'm a professional photographer. And if you are curious about what I get into as far as my photography, just type in !art, and it'll take you to my card page, which has, it's the link, it's like Linktree. It's got all the links. Instagram, website, Vero, Patreon, Redbubble store, all the places where you can find my work. And again, thank you so much for stopping by. It is very, very much appreciated. Just editing some film that I developed last week. If you're just dropping by. Ooh, yeah, that was the end of the album. All right. New music. We don't want to start shifting into the copyrighted stuff because then somebody is going to yell at me, and we don't want that. Now, do we? Let's see. How about... Let's see. Which remix album do I want to pull out here? Oh, I think you look good. Let's cue you up.
My dear Alex, I will always be at your side.
The soundtrack to the game, in which is partially a love letter to Poe. It's Eternal Darkness. Why the hell not? Let's see. Let's do this one. We're going to go back to Loudon Park for this one. Dead-centered image here. And I forget... And my spouse looked it up too. Like, what was the Latin? Latin to English. Let's do that. Spirat. Spirat ad hoc amor, which translates to love still breathes. Nice. That's pretty cool. All right. Yeah, you do not look straight to me. You're not. You are definitely at an angle. There we go. That's better. I should also... I notice I'm slightly uneven here. Just a little. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to get a nice range of tones all around. I think it's a bit bright, though. Just a little, so we're toned it down just a drop there. Mortal Kombat! I do. I love this. I love this game so much. It was actually one of the earliest games I streamed when I started doing Twitch streaming was Eternal Darkness, which is one of my all-time favorite games. I don't know how many of you out there have ever even heard of it. It was one of those games that was so critically acclaimed. Like every video game magazines, because digital media was not as big yet. Like this game came out in like 2001, so video game magazines were still very much alive, but like this game was so praised, 10 out of 10 reviews all across the board. Everyone loved this game. Every publication that reviewed this game, like glowing, perfect scores. Nobody bought it because gamers went, wait a minute, an M-rated game on a Nintendo console? Are you kidding? And that is why Nintendo has not made M-rated video games since. They tried for a second, they tried to shake free of that whole the family-friendly box that they put themselves in so deeply. And the one time they made like an actual like violent video game, nobody bought it. And so they went, all right. Like, had this game come out on PS2 or the original Xbox, it probably would have done gangbusters. All right, we are coming down to the end here. I think I'll do one more before we do the one or two more before the end of stream recap, as I typically do. Let me see which ones, which one do I want to work on as the last one for tonight? Let's do this one. That one's leaning a bit toward the brighter end. Actually, that one we could probably do with a... So that's it. No contrast. That could actually probably do with a little less contrast. Not a whole lot less, but a little less. I think I slightly underexposed this one. So we have to compensate for that a little bit. This was getting near late in the day and had been overcast for most of the day. It was the same trip that I went to the Edgar Allan Poe site, and this was getting, not quite toward dusk, but we're getting near 5 in the afternoon or whatever, and things were starting, the sun was starting to come out. I haven't hydrated in a while. I cut to break and my viewer count drops off. That'll learn me. Don't cut to break. So the graves in the foreground here. So there's 2 areas of this massive cemetery that contain military headstones. The first part of it, and the larger part of it, which is way behind me in this shot, and is gated off, that is a national cemetery for our vets. And this area that I'm standing in, this contains a lot of headstones, which are the sites for fallen Confederate soldiers. Hey! Jay Renzella, thank you so much for the resub. Welcome on in. Good to see you, sir. How have you been? Hope you and yours are doing well. But as I was saying, so the two areas in this massive cemetery that have our war vets in them. The first, again, way behind me in this shot. That is a national cemetery. That's gated off. Where I'm standing here is the second and smaller area where there are war dead, and it is here the graves in the foreground are where several hundred Confederate soldiers are buried. Because again, this is Maryland. This is south of the Mason-Dixon line. So this area has a smattering of Union soldiers as well, but this area here in the foreground is predominantly Confederate soldiers. Thank you so much, sir. Let's distress the stone a little bit more. This center bit is the old mausoleum that is no longer in use. It was built in the late 1800s. Just for scale, I'm standing on top of a hill. This is a good few hundred feet away. When we get up close to the mausoleum, again, this is for scale. That is actually how big it is, 1873. So here we have my spouse, and only comes up to like 2/3 of the door here. This thing is actually huge. And again, it's padlocked. There's broken stained glass. But yeah, just when you're looking at this, you can't really sense how big of a scale is until you're actually standing next to it. And I can only assume that these doors are gated and padlocked because somebody tried to escape. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. When I'm not agitating film, you're just dressing stone. Yes, the agitation for these two roles was actually last Thursday when I developed them live on Twitch, and here are the end results. You're agitated, you missed it. Nice one. Well, as always, if you like to put on VODs in the background, I know the VOD for the agitation stream is on Twitch, on my Twitch channel for the next couple of days, the next 10 days, I think, and it is already up on my YouTube channel. So I don't know if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, but they're on my YouTube channel, just type in I think it's exclamation point YouTube. I think that's the command. Yes, it is. So that's my channel. That's where all my archived Twitch streams wind up going after a couple of days. Oh, hello. Check your Discord. Check my Discord. Okay. Speaking of the spouse. Oh, okay. Thank you. I will share that. Yes. We've got some additional information. So, okay. So my spouse actually, while I was taking pictures of this, and the thing behind me, they actually stuck their hand in there, and this is what, and took a cell phone image. So when you stick your hand through the door here and point it upward, this is what you see. The spouse from the photo, yes. So, stuck a hand in through the door and pointed the cell phone camera up. So this is what it looks like inside it. So yeah, more broken stained glass. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. All right, let's do a little more burning, so we can a little more burning, so we can get a little bit more, a little more separation here, because some of this, as the sun is shining on some of these patches of grass here between the headstones, and it almost looks kind of one note. So so I want to indicate that the sun is shining on them, on that area, but not so much that it creates just a solid, you want a solid patch of color there. Break it up a little. And we do that through creative dodging and burning.
Rotting cadavers. They are amongst us.
All right, I think we've done enough there. Nice little separation. All right, so let's save you. But yes, this was just outside the city of Baltimore. And we are now over 2 hours at this point. So it is just about time to do the recap and call it an evening. So I will show you what we've done tonight. Let's just close all y'all. All right. Let's bring back our stars here. Reading selections filter.
Isn't really happening.
Mode, camera. Okay. So we did 9 of you. So we'll just go, they're not going to be in any particular order. So we'll just go from here. We did this. So I really love the doors. So I can make those lighter. Just looking at them again, little tweaks here and there. And then we did, that was the first one I did. That was the first one I worked on tonight. That was the one I just finished. We'll just wait for Maximilian to finish screaming. So this was, again, this is the Westminster Burying Ground, which is the site, the cemetery where Edgar Allan Poe is buried. Same cemetery, but further back. One of the vaults toward the back. Or a corner of one, I should say. Same cemetery, more toward the front. The detritus and love notes left on Edgar Allan Poe's burial site. And same cemetery. I'm going to make that a little brighter. Looks a little dull to me. There we go. That looks better. And again, Edgar Allan Poe is just a little bit behind me off to the lower right here. So, but yeah, that it was what we have done tonight. Love the white leaves. They were actually yellow, but black and white photography means they look white. Haha. Little tricks there. So yeah, that is going to be it for this evening. So let me see if I can spread the love to somebody else. See who's on. This is the last stream I'm doing this week because on Friday I'm going down for a wedding, family wedding. So my the next stream will be on Monday, next Monday evening. 7:30, no, it won't. It's Halloween, and I will be out, so no, next stream will not be on Monday. So I will have to come up with a stream schedule for next week, so I will post that on my Twitter page once I know what that is. So let's see who's streaming. Let's see. We do have a couple of artists here. Let's bring the party to... Oh, haven't I streamed in a while? Let's see what... Foy Heartily is doing, as Foy was kind enough to pop over to my stream yesterday. Yeah, let's oh, it's pronounced Foy Heartily. Foy Heartily. Okay, let's see what we got there. Keeman. Keeman is doing some more Pulse-tober stuff. I haven't seen him in a long time. So yeah, let's bring the party over to Keeman. Let me just grab that username. It's a long one, so let's do a copy and paste. Raid. Or subscriber only chat, that's alright. Alrighty. Well, have a good week, everyone. Until I see you guys again. First of all, thank you for spending some of your Tuesday evening with me. I always appreciate the pleasure of your company. Thank you for the resubs. You know who you are. Much love, much love. Thank you again for your support. Stay healthy, stay safe, wear your goddamn masks, go get boosted. Good night, and joy be with you all, everyone. Be well. Have a good rest of your week.